We're back to kick off the 2024 NFL season with an early preview of Week 1 in NFL Survivor polls. We'll debate who to target and who to avoid coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the fantasy football consultants coming back to you finally after the long off season. Eric, we're coming. I have a guest here for everyone who they all know. Aaron Dean joining us.
Aaron, it's good to see you again. We're going to get right into the Week 1 spreads. They are all of the top 9 spreads. The home team is the favorite. We're going to start with the first 3 games. Cincinnati, 9.5-point favorites against New England. Buffalo, a touchdown favorite over Arizona. And the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night, 6.5 over the New York Jets. Let's start with that Bengal-Patriot game. Michael, what do you think?
Well, Cincinnati has been a slow start team, but they couldn't have picked a better opponent for Week 1 going up against, I don't even know who the coach is. I think it's some ex-Patriot. Belichick is gone, which was always our fear of picking against New England was Bill Belichick. Their quarterback's gone. They don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Mayo they picked early on, or I'm sorry, Drake May, who they picked early on, or someone else? They've sold the farm, and Cincinnati has not. They still have their strong receiving core. They have changed out their running back situation, but I'm not sure that that's necessarily a bad thing. And guess who's going to be there Week 1? Joe Burrow obviously makes a huge difference. Not sure they're going to start as weekly this year as they have in the last few years. Zach Taylor, I think he's really a strong coach. I don't know how many games that the Patriots are even going to win this year. Thankfully, I think we have a patsy game for Week 1, because you and I both know, Eric, Week 1 is scary as can be.
It always is, because we're going to come in here and give you guys our expert advice, but we don't know, and neither does anybody else. But it looks like New England is a team that you can pick on. Aaron, what do you think about this Bengal team? Michael gave all the positives. They don't have Tyler Boyd, their number 3 wide receiver, anymore. And Joe Burrow's coming off that wrist injury. He's been throwing. He's talked about as getting the right spin. I mean, this is something I need to look at close at over these next preseason games. What do you think about the Bengals?
I'm not too worried about the Bengals. I think, I think a lot of NFL fans read way too much into the NFL preseason. We got to take preseason as if it's like an MLB preseason. These big number 1 starting pitchers, the ace of the staff, a lot of guys just try to work on, their fastball control and things of that nature. I think Joe Burrow is doing something similar, trying to just lock himself in, whether he throws 4 picks one day or 4 touchdowns the next, it doesn't matter. It's training camp. So the big thing for me is whether or not Burrow is going to be healthy. He looks healthy. He's going to be fine. Jamar Chase, to me, they got to, Bengals have been notoriously cheap owners. They don't like to pay out for their stars. And Jamar Chase is the holdout right now, wanting a new contract. So they're going to need to get that situated in the next couple of weeks. But to be honest with you, it doesn't matter in this Week 1 matchup, because this year in Survivor League, you just take whoever's playing the New England Patriots. They're going to struggle. I think Vegas is way off. They have them at 4.5 on the over and under. They're about 3. Yeah. They're about 3 games too many. I think it's a 1.5 over and under. So, and you just got to pray that you don't mess it up the one week that they do get lucky and win a game. So, they're going to be terrible. Their last 6 drafts have been like just awful. Bill Belichick has really screwed that cupboard up. His bear is all get out. I mean, there's nothing left there for Gerard Mayo to coach there in New England. So to me, I think Cincinnati wins this game. I think they're going to be a really tough team. To me, I think they win this division, to be honest with you.
So what you're talking about earlier was the over-under to win total. So you 1.5. I love it.
I think it's 1.5. But I really think, Eric, to me, when you look at like Super Bowl odds and things of that nature, for me, the best bang for the buck, and I've got my bet on it, is Cincinnati at plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl. Let's not forget, when Joe Burrow is healthy and this offense is clicking, they added Zach Moss, who's kind of a really nice weapon for them. A lot of people are like, oh, Zach Moss, he was kind of the backup. Jonathan Taylor goes down, Zach Moss steps in, and then when Jonathan Taylor was healthy with the Indianapolis Colts, he had a really hard time getting back on the field because of Zach Moss's efficiency. So they're going to be able to run the rock. Another little sleeper on this Cincinnati team that I think is going to really do well, you mentioned about Tyler Boyd missing, is Mike Gesicki, the tight end. He never really has fit in a couple different spots, but Joe Burrow really likes to throw to a tight end, and that's a guy that really is a good route runner, gets good separation from linebackers, and he's a guy that might catch, north of 65, 70 passes this year.
And this Bengals defense can be good, and I
Yeah.
think they'll really take advantage of a weak New England Patriots offense.
All right, so I'm going to try to be the cautionary, the other side of this tale, and it's hard because I agree with you. New England's just terrible, and the lines makers agree. Only Carolina was a longer shot to win the Super Bowl this year, but there's two factors. One is that you're going to expect that this is going to be the chalk pit. This is going to be pick popularity. A ton of people are going to pick this because of the highest spread. So, and the other thing is, Cincinnati, amazingly, because of this division, actually gets the last place schedule, despite that they won the nine wins. So guess who they play? Week 3, they host Washington. Week 4, they're at Carolina. So from a future value perspective, not only does Cincinnati have other good games, but other good games soon. So just something to think about. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. They are 7-point favorites over the Arizona Cardinals. Let me kick this off. It's funny because it was just a year ago that I was saying what Aaron was saying about the Patriots. Just pick on the Cardinals. Just pick on the Cardinals. Well, the Cardinals are 4-13 like New England last year, but I am far more scared of this Arizona team than the New England team. Why? Because they're a different team with Kyler Murray. They were 1-8 to begin the year without Kyler Murray, and they were 3-5 with Kyler Murray, with wins over Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. 3 solid teams. And of course, I guess let's just talk about their new weapon to throw to at wide receiver, Marvin Harrison. The Bills, well, we'll talk about Bills in a minute. Aaron, do you share my concern of being a little bit afraid? I mean, Survivor is not just picking who you're picking for, but who you're picking against. And Arizona is a scary team for me to pick against.
Afraid? Yeah, you bet. In fact, this is a game that if you're betting on, you're taking Arizona on the money line. This is a really, really good matchup. The Cardinals have been really, really impressed with Kyler Murray. Last year, they have not shored up their entire offensive line yet. So he's still going to be a guy that's going to run around a little bit. And you just got to make sure that he's got 2 good wheels. And if he does, this is a game you stay away from. It's just, I know it's 7, but it's way too many points with Arizona. Way too many points.
Michael?
Yeah, I think the other thing to note is Buffalo can be a slow starting team, right? Last year they got the Jets in week 1, and right away Aaron Rodgers goes down and everybody thinks, oh shoot, this is an easy win for the Bills. No, it wasn't. And they lost the game to the Jets, even with Aaron Rodgers out. So the Bills can be a slow start team. This Arizona defense is, I think, completely weak, so that you should be able to put points up against them. But again, just Buffalo's could be a little bit of slow. With Diggs gone, I think they've done a good job, figuring out the replacements there. I think they're going to be fine this year. I like them overall during the season, but I agree with both of you. I think Arizona's a little bit scary. I think Buffalo should win this game, but Survivor life, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see. It's weird, this Buffalo offense. They seem like they have relied more on the run, really phasing out Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs down the stretch last year. And I don't know who's going to step up to be their number one wide receiver. But I'd like to see 1 week before I pick Buffalo. I will say on the other side for future value, it's a little surprising. Buffalo does not have much future value. You might go, well, they played Tennessee in week 7, and you go, what about New England? Isn't that they're in the division? They played New England week 16 and week 18. So that's a long time to wait. So if you feel more strong about this Buffalo than I personally do, and maybe don't fear Arizona like I do, then from a future value perspective, there's nothing wrong with burning Buffalo in week 1. I'm going to kick it over to you, Aaron, to talk about the next game. The San Francisco 49ers, the Super Bowl participant last year, 12-5, hosting on Monday night against the New York Jets, who should have Aaron Rodgers for more than a couple plays.
They will, and it won't matter. This is a game that, from my perspective, San Francisco wins this by 3 touchdowns. It won't even be close. And then afterwards, Aaron Rodgers is going to get snippy with the New York media, and you're going to get another one of those. Just relax, relax. We're okay. There's too much internal bickering going on with unexcused absences, and Aaron Rodgers' passive aggressiveness with the coaching staff and things of that nature with the organization. To me, there's like way too many alarm bells going off there. They still have a really terrible offensive line. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be hard pressed for him to stay healthy in these first 6 games. His career is on the downswing. I mean, it's going to be over before he knows it. And it's not just because he's not capable. It's just they're not going to be capable of keeping him upright.
Well, Michael, I'm going to let you break the tie, because I'm going to go against Aaron here and say that the New York Jets are not anywhere a team that I want to pick against in Survivor. I like Breece Hall's amazing back there, and I still want to see what Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson as a combination can do. But here's the biggest reason why I would never, ever pick the Niners this week. Week 3, they host New England. That's what we call a survivor bye. So do not, I would say, pick San Francisco. Hold them. Week 3 is not too long away. Michael?
I hear what you're saying, Eric, but a team that always starts strong early on is the San Francisco 49ers. They know how to come in ready to go. I kind of agree with Aaron. I think the Jets will not be as ready to go. I think that they're going to be a good team, but I think the time to pick against the Jets is early on when they're still trying to figure a few things out. Mm-hmm. So you kind of won me over with your Survivor week bye in week 3. I really like that, and I'm pretty strong on Cincinnati this week, and so happy to wait on the Niners. But I think the Niners win this game.
I'm just following Aaron's advice. Whoever plays New England.
No, 100%. That's what's going to be like here.
All right, let's look at the second tranche of games. This is just, according to the lines makers, stepping out a little bit, maybe out of people's comfort zone, but you're probably going to benefit from lower pick popularity. We have 3 teams that are at home and they're 4.5-point favorites. That's Seattle, New Orleans, and Chicago. Between these 3, which game is your favorite, Michael?
Gosh, I think I'd go with New Orleans because they're at home. They're particularly strong in the dome. They're playing against Carolina. I know that's a in league or in division matchup, but Carolina is bad this year. They really didn't do a whole lot to help themselves out with the draft. I'm still not quite sure if their quarterback is an NFL quarterback. I hope so, but he could get hurt at any moment as well. He's just so small. So to me, that's the one I feel probably best about, but I don't feel very good about any of these games, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think I like New Orleans as well. Let's not forget, Derek Carr usually is pretty good his year 2 with the offensive coordinator in hand. The last 10 weeks of the season last year, Derek Carr was a really, really good, efficient passer for New Orleans. And the defense should be okay enough to obviously stop this Carolina team who's sorely undermanned offensively. Again, I agree. I'm going to go out and say it that Bryce Young isn't an NFL quarterback. So, or maybe he's just in the wrong system. Obviously, you are who you are with, the parts around you. Take in case Brock Purdy with the Niners. Would Brock Purdy be Brock Purdy on the Carolina Panthers? I'm not so sure. But you put him in Kyle Shanahan's offense, all those offensive weapons, it's a different story. So maybe Bryce Young is. It's just that he's playing for a really, really, really bad organization.
All right, so let me do a little pushback on honor of Bryce Young. You guys, and I know Michael especially, big believer in the value of coaching. They've got a new head coach, Dave Canales. And as a Seahawks fan, I can tell you he worked wonders with Geno Smith in 2022. He worked wonders last year with Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. Yeah. Do you guys think that he can have that same positive impact on Bryce Young?
Possibly, but let's not forget, defense still wins you games, and they traded away their best defensive player last in the draft to Brian Burns to the New York Giants. So they've got nothing on that side of the ball or on the. I mean, it's just not a very good team in general.
Yeah, I mean, they were just to kind of answer your question, Eric. I mean, Baker Mayfield had offensive weapons to get the ball to, right? Like, I just think, Canales doesn't have a whole lot to work with.
Carolina was 2-15 last year. They are the longest of long shots. The one good thing you would think about being 2-15 and the worst team in the NFL is you get the first overall draft pick, but they don't even get that because they already traded that away to the Bears. So the one concern I have is don't expect New Orleans to be any better than they were last year. I mean, they've got real cap concerns. They really didn't add anybody in the offseason to improve them, but they're a better team than Carolina, and they're at home, and not much future value for New Orleans. So definitely understand this pick. We'll talk about Seattle. None of us, including myself, like this more than the New Orleans pick. 4.5-point favorites over the Denver Broncos. I'll just quickly say we've got a new coaching staff, which I'm excited about. A defensive-minded a guy in Mike McDonald who really did wonders with Baltimore. He's got the individual talented players. Can he on Seattle? Can he bring it together? We'll see. And on the other hand, you've got Denver. Let me ask you guys, who do you think is going to be Denver's starting quarterback for week 1? We've got, look at the bachelors. We have bachelor number 1, journeyman Jarrett Stidham. Bachelor number 2, rookie Bo Nix. And bachelor number 3, Jets bust Zach Wilson. What do you think? Week 1 starter.
What do you think?
It's going to be Bo Nix.
Should be.
It should be Bo Nix, and it will be Bo Nix. Zach Wilson has already reported, after the third practice, wasn't even getting reps anymore in practice. So he's gone out of the equation. Jarrett Stidham, to me, though, is a guy that can come in and just make some disruptions. He's pretty mobile, but he's not terribly accurate. Bo Nix, on the other hand, is an accurate passer. And let's just look at, who his coach is. Hey, he loves an accurate passer, right? And so I think that Bo Nix is a kid that played in the SEC and did really well at Auburn, played in the Pac-12, did really well for Oregon, showed really well against some top-notch defenses over his last couple of years. And let's not forget, he's a kid who's made the most starts of any of these quarterbacks that were drafted this last year. And he's got a really, really good record on top of that as well. So I think Bo Nix early on is going to have a more productive NFL year than Caleb Williams in the first 8 to 10 games. Wow. So he's ready to go. And he's, Cortland Sutton is he's a pretty good wideout, borderline fringe 1 target.
I don't disagree with that. I like him as the guy, and I actually didn't put together him Peyton, him having similar quarterback situation, obviously in the past, obviously we can't compare them. You got a Hall of Famer and a rookie.
Let's just quickly talk about Chicago and Tennessee. Both teams actually last year were 7-10, but this is a completely revamped Chicago's team. I'm still a little shocked, Aaron, when you said that Bo Nix better early part of the year than Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams has some targets to throw to. DJ Moore was sensational last year, and now add that with Keenan Allen, and of course the really dynamic rookie Rome Odunze. Here's the thing: in the second half of the last year, Chicago's defense had the least number of points scored against them. So if they can match any type of improved offense with that defense, they could be scary.
100%. I think for them, they're going to lean on their defense. And the reason why I say the first 8 to 10 games, he'll have maybe a better start is I think that they are going to start Caleb Williams out a little slow. As much as I think Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and Rome Odunze are going to be phenomenal targets for Caleb Williams, I kind of think that they have a defensive-minded coach.
Hand the ball off.
Hand the ball off, play action, hit some big passes, and do well, right? But I think that they're going to start that offense a little slower, kind of get them integrated in that, see what their offensive line looks like, because remember, this is a completely revamped offensive line as well. I think it will be much better than it was last year for Justin Fields. I also think that their running back situation is much better than it was last year as well. So I think that they will run heavy, and then they'll play action pass and play it safe with Caleb Williams in the beginning, and they'll really, really do what you just suggested. They're going to lean on that defense, and that defense is going to be a top 5 defense this year. They will be very, very good.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of slack for Caleb Williams, so there's no need to come out guns a-blazing. You know, this is a game they should win, and so I think that's obviously something that they'll have in mind. They want to show strong. It's a home game. But Mike Vrabel can be strong against the run. He hasn't been the last couple years, but you know, he's still in Tennessee, right?
No,
he's gone. Gosh,
No.
you're right.
He's gone. This is why I think that Chicago wins. This is a great survivor pick, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Will Levis is a train wreck as a quarterback, so the guy can't hit the broadside of a barn. He is not very accurate. So, and they don't have a lot of offensive weapons either. So,
Heaven.
no, they're going to struggle this year to win 6 games.
Yeah, in case you guys, the viewers don't know, Derrick Henry's now in Baltimore, so
that's right.
They don't have Tony Pollard, who was really disappointing last year, is probably going to be the lead back. So, you don't want to talk about any of these final 3. I'll just make a really quick comment. Miami is absolutely the team you want to pick early in the season when they're at home and the weather is hot, but not against Jacksonville. Wait, patience. Don't pick them yet. Any other comments on any of the other 2 teams? Tampa Bay versus Washington.
You said it. Miami is a team to pick early. I think Detroit could have a good season as well, but they're going up against the Rams here in week 1. And so, and I don't even know what to think too much about that other game. So, yeah, let's pass on all of these games. We got some good picks, as we already mentioned.
But you bring up a valid point, though, Eric, is you got to take Miami early because their back half of their schedule is going to be awful. Tons of at least 5 out of their 8 games they're going to be playing in cold weather. And Tua is going to really struggle. And I think there's going to be a lot in that organization to be hating it that they gave him a $53 million a year contract. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Oh,
so we want to hear from you guys. Put in the comment section who your week 1 NFL Survivor pick is and why. We will be back with you closer to the start of the season to give our final picks. But let's all go around one last time with any final things that you're looking for. For me, I'm looking, if I want to go out on a limb, at New Orleans. But if I want to play it safe, which is normally what I like to do, I have my eyes on Cincinnati, but I want to see the news with Joe Burrow and see how he is doing. And I also am going to look out for how that Buffalo offense is looking at, like with their new receiving core. Michael, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good about this Cincinnati pick. I think the New Orleans pick is an interesting one. You know, I think the Chicago one's an interesting one now that we talked about it a little bit more. You know, but the Niners, you know, let's save them. I think it makes sense to save them. you want a really strong pick in week 1. So I guess if Burrow's not healthy, I can see the fear there, but otherwise Cincinnati seems like the strongest of the picks.
Yeah, I think Chicago's going to offer you some value as that offense starts to click and starts to get to know all the parts and how they're going to really utilize Caleb Williams going forward off of that. But to me, I'm a bit of a riverboat gambler, and I hear the sentiment that you had mentioned before about New Orleans and that they do not bring enough value later in the season. And to me, I think that they're going to be around a 500 or maybe a game or so under 500, maybe. And being able to take New Orleans off the board early on with them not being a great team, to me, that's kind of a nice pick.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, we'll be back with you closer to the start of the season to give our final one. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that red subscriber button so you're notified of any of our future videos. Until next time, take care. And on your screen now is our strategy video about how to excel in NFL survivor polls, and also a short playlist of tips on NFL Survivor. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.